Welcome everyone to a game that's kind of been my main FPS since it's been released. I don't think I've so much as started PUBG since Blackout launched on October the 12th. As I said in my other video, there is so much good about Blackout. So much that's well judged and well put together. It's not perfect, there are some bugs and design decisions that need to be addressed, but the game has had such a solid launch, positive reaction and tweaking patches that I hope the devs and the players alike have been happy with how it's all gone. You might have also noticed that the game has been getting loads of Twitch view time. It's not totally surprising. A bunch of larger streamers have latched onto it as the new Battle Royale, offering something different. It's a bit more arcadey, faster paced and so on. But it's in that focused, repetitive environment that games are put under a kind of unusual strain. Should an FPS Battle Royale title be expected to keep your attention for 8 to 10 hours a day, like an MMO might? In many ways you might argue that it doesn't matter for the vast majority of players. But now a lot of people's experience of games are through watching streams too, so content becoming stale and repetitive isn't just a problem that developers should look at for those small minority of people who are playing it like it's their day job. It's about how the game looks to all the people watching them too. So turning to Blackout. It's not a single title like PUBG or Fortnite. It's part of a stable of games alongside the normal COD multiplayer and zombie modes. And although you could rightly argue that Fortnite and Blackout are very different titles, the fact that one is free certainly sets them apart. You could also counter-argue that Fortnite clearly has changed the landscape for how player bases for Battle Royale titles expect changes and game updates to occur. PUBG was in the top seat for a while. It wasn't even that long ago that it was posting MOBA-type numbers, over 3 million concurrent players in January of this year. And even now it sees almost 900,000 players peak every day, which would be superb numbers for almost any other title. But you must have seen the pace and direction of development change to keep things fresh as a result of Fortnite making such massive waves in the gaming space. Things like short-term events with unique rule sets, limited-time cosmetics, and even whole other maps. Yes, my number one concern for Blackout is that the developers understand what a winner they have on their hands and keep the pace of development up to maintain and even grow their position. Blackout screams of being its own title, even more so when you compare it to multiplayer, and Zombies already stands almost alone in a completely other world. The scale of the playing field in Blackout necessitates different scopes, proper ballistics, vehicles, and a whole host of other changes unique to its playstyle. I mean, for example, think about the 9-bangs, the flash-bang type grenades we have in the game. They might need tweaking or even mechanical changes in Blackout that they might not need in multiplayer. You're asking for something to work both on the scale of a normal COD multiplayer map and at vastly different confrontation differences to something like a VR game. You could reach an awkward point where abilities with the same names start to feel different across different parts of the Black Ops 4 titles, all because they have different requirements being placed upon them. Design tweaking and balancing is one thing, but adding new content and taking steps to keep things fresh is a whole other ballgame. I don't know exactly what sort of additions they have planned for Blackout, but if they're not already working on a second map, I'd be worried about the game's long-term outlook. For people who bought Black Ops 4 for the Battle Royale, every match is on the same map. They loot the same areas with the same weather at the same time of day. It's the same colours moving in front of your eyes over and over. There is an interview with Treyarch's studio design director David Vonderhaar on Game Informer where plans are talked about in pretty general terms. He describes constant updates and how much work went into tools to allow the devs to respond to player feedback. On the idea of another map, he says it's a possibility, but not likely soon. The core of what makes Blackout is great, but keeping the fun in a BR isn't the job that it was when H1Z1 or PUBG was released. Cosmetic unlocks such as weapon skins would be another useful way to have people incentivized about playing the game. Having short-term and long-term goals is so important for gamers in 2018. The lack of weapon skins in Blackout feels particularly like a missing piece as it comes in stark contrast to how they're treated in the multiplayer parts of Black Ops 4. The current system of unlocking characters with quests seems obscure and arduous to me too. If you're playing with friends and you're after a certain character, you seemingly have to already have researched how to do a particular quest. You then rely on RNG to find some specific quest item to carry, and even then, some of those quests require you to even win the game while carrying that item. It's fiddly to organise, it feels like half an MMO quest, but then you have to complete it in a competitive environment. For players looking towards unlocking the cool shiny things, there isn't much progression or building towards a goal from that side of the game. Better is the new black market store's slightly contrively named Contraband Stream. It's a kind of tiered reward setup that has been recently added to the game. The UI for this is massively reminiscent of Fortnite's Battle Pass, but this has been added to Black Ops 4 for free. The seasons, or I guess operations as they're calling them, will last a few months. On top of that, there's even more limited time operations that run concurrently. At the moment, there's a Halloween-themed event that's ending in about 10 days from now. Adding content to the game in this way, through emotes and things like that, is obviously good to keep people incentivized, but it doesn't help solve the fatigue of the main gameplay loop. The rewards have to be mighty impressive to keep people playing a game they've grown weary of. What's missing from Blackout, and what I hope Treyarch is already working on alongside other maps, are those limited time, different rule set modes that change how people play. The simplest might be, say, a pistol only mode. It changes players' mentalities when looking for different weapon types that they don't normally choose. It also changes the distance in which they engage with other players. Another idea might be the floor is lava mode, where running on the ground makes players take damage, which also ramps up over time. So moving around on vehicles becomes the main choice of movement. You could also up the number of vehicle spawns to help with this. Teams would tend to stand on rocks or on walls to avoid taking damage while on the ground, making battles with other players massively different. Black Ops 4 is a AAA title with a AAA price tag, but those sticker price funds are obviously spread between the three facets of the game. I do hope the long-term development is planned to keep pace with the increasing demands and expectations that the general Battle Royale player base has. Blackout is the hyped-up new title on the block and has undoubtedly done its part in helping Black Ops 4 become the huge success that Activision and Blizzard has had. I'd love to see where this can go, but it's going to need constant development to even tread water and keep its place in the intensely competitive market of Battle Royale titles. I'm very interested to know what you think about Blackout, Black Ops 4, or even just your feelings on Battle Royale games in general. Leave a comment below right now, I'll be reading every single one of them. Please do also remember to hit subscribe and hit that bell icon for more videos in the future. Your support, as always, is hugely appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.